Hi, my name is Ebenezer Safwadu. I'm a business strategy consultant and a data specialist. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you've been following me, I've been doing videos on storytelling, data storytelling, as well as teaching people how to be data scientists, what you need to do. If you not watch any of my videos, kindly subscribe to my channel and go and watch the other videos. It's very important. So as you get, because most of my videos are continuing from the previous. This is a continuing video from the previous one we did. So just a recap. I taught on how to bring data into Power BI. Power BI is a data analytic tool which is used for data analysis and some modeling. So I've talked on data analysis, on a special video that I did on the types of analysis that you can do. So it's important that you go and watch that also. This video would be more on data transformation. The last video, I introduced you to Power BI, what the buttons meant, what you were supposed to do, and how to create at least some visuals. We did those visuals in the last video. So like I said, in this particular video, we're going to talk more on data transformation. Data transformation is needed to ensure that your data is put in the right format for the BI to be able to do what it's supposed to, especially in the visualization. To tell the story, you need to put the data in a certain way. Most importantly, the data would not come as prepared. There will be some gaps, there will be some columns that you might have to change. So we'll look at data transformation. If you've not watched my video on the Chris DM, you have to go and watch on what you need to do when you get a data project to actually understand most of the things I'm saying here. So data transformation is one critical part of what you do before you analyze data. If you spend most of your time in data transformation, data visualization would be so easy. Even the modeling would be very much easy. So today I'll spend more time on data transformation, and my recommended tool is Power BI because it's easy to use and is the best in the world currently. 97% of the top 500 companies in the world use it. It's not a fluke. Microsoft came in the analysis tool frame not more than 6 years ago, but today they are number one. They've put in a lot, and I recommend the Power BI for anybody who wants to do data analysis or a data scientist. So let's go straight in what I always do. Let's go to data transformation. To transform our data. So today we'll be looking at connecting to data sources, which we did, but I'll just do a repeat. We'll look at changing the data type, removing and reordering the columns, query dependencies, query parameters, merge queries and append queries. We'll do it later. And entering data in Power BI, I did it the last time. And other things with regards to the data transformation. To actually do data transformation, you can do it in two ways. When you are getting data, remember the last time I told you that we loaded the data. I think we did some transformation, but it was quick. But to actually, before you load the data into Power BI, you would have to transform it. Always make that a rule of thumb. Even though the load button is always active, I would always advise that you do the transform data. But after loading, like what we did the last time, which is our financials data set, what you can do is to come to or go to transform data and click on it. It will open this window for you. So data transformation in Power BI is done in the Power Query Editor. The same Power Query Editor, if you are familiar with Excel, is also there. So it's an enhanced tool for just data transformation before you load it into your model for modeling. So I'll take you through all these tabs in here so as you get a fair idea of what they do and so as you can also use them. So first I'll show you the panes. This is the query pane. You see all your queries in here. We brought in the financials data from the last video, like I said. Subscribe to my channel, watch the other previous video on introduction to Power BI to help you understand this. My first table was the data we entered into. This is the main pane that your data is. The data that we brought in is here. And let me remove some things because I think I did it earlier on. And so that is basically some of the things that this is another pane. This is the apply steps pane. Anything that we do here will be shown here. The properties pane. Now let's go straight to the other button. So we have new source. You can bring data from other sources from here straight away, like make your queries from this point. There are recent sources, so this you are familiar with the get data. There are recent sources. The recent sources are brought in because of the lot of work I've been doing. There's a lot of things that you see here. If it's your first time, you may not see any recent sources. With time, you build that up. Enter data. If you remember from the last video, you get this pop-up and you can enter your data like how you do in Excel. You can even copy and paste it also here. There's data source settings. This is used when you want to change the data source that you are actually analyzing. Sometimes the data source may change, especially when it's not web and it's local. You may have to change the data source settings. I'll do a video on that. But basically, it's like you change the source of your data. The financial data is in the C downloads. Maybe I've changed the location of the data, so I would have to change the current source. There is manage parameters. I'll do a video specifically on that. It's normally used to restrict what people see. There's refresh preview. So there's refresh preview, there's refresh all. Anytime you change data in your data set, if you don't have automatic refresh enabled, you come here and just refresh, and whatever you've done in your new source data would be refreshed here. There's properties. So properties of the query, you can enter some descriptions. So as when somebody is looking at what this query is about, they would understand. There's advanced editor. The advanced editor is just a pane that helps you see the code that are written for you. The query editor uses a language called M language. Although they've done a lot of work to make it so easy that it's mostly drag and drop and some few clicks. But if you want the hard way, you can learn the M language. It's very good. It's very useful for data transformation. There is manage. So you can delete this. You can duplicate the query. You can reference the query. We'll look at the reference later. Choose column. So if I want to select a particular column, I can go to a certain column. So I can choose the particular column that I want to go to. Maybe I don't want to navigate with this scroll bar here. So you can use the choose column to actually navigate your way. There's remove columns. So you can remove a column. So you see there's removed column. It means I removed the column that I was selected. I'll later show you another way of doing all these things inside. It's easier when you just right click than go through all this. But that one, you know what you are selecting, you see what will happen. And everything, like I said, everything that you do here, let me remove the country. Everything you do here is applied here. If you want to undo, you just click back. As simple as ABC, right? Then there's reduce rows, which means that you keep rows or you remove rows. Maybe you want to remove the last two rows or keep rows. There is split column. I'll show that in a special video. Group by also in a special video. Change data type. This is one of the first things you do whenever you get the data set. Check and see whether the data type is what it's supposed to be. Decimal, fixed number, whole number, percentage. You can change it easily. Then use first row as headers. Sometimes you bring your data in, you see column 1 as the headers. Meanwhile, the rows, maybe countries, COGS, they are all here. Let me try and show you. Let's say use rows. So you see this, and maybe you have these country product that are supposed to be my column. So I just do use first rows as column. Easy, that's it. Then replace values. Maybe if you are familiar with Excel, you replace values, you do find and replace. Yes, it's the same thing. replace value. So value to find, value to replace with. The one easier way is to just right click the value. You have replace values here, and you can replace easily. I think that's about it. All these, the combine is merge and append. I said I'll do a special video on merge and append. These are special advanced analytics. We'll look at it later. Let's go to the transform button. So we have group by. I said I'll do a video on that. Use first row as headers. Transpose, reverse, count rows, just for counting the rows. Data type, which we saw earlier. Detect data type, rename. You can rename a column, but I prefer that you just double click and do a renaming. There is replace values. There is fill. You can fill down or up a column. There's pivot and unpivot columns. I would treat that in also a separate video. There's move. For instance, move to end. The country would move to end. We can also reorder by just selecting and just moving it. Whichever way you want to. In Power BI, there are like 6 different ways of achieving the same result. And there is convert to list. It will convert this whole table to a list instead of a table with so many columns. Split columns we'll do later. Format, you can change it like Excel and in Word. So uppercase, everything turns into uppercase. Let me just check it. Extract and parse, I'll do it in the next video. Let's look at the statistics. So let me look at, let's say, year. Go to statistics and do sum. So you see the sum being shown here, calculated sum. Come on, check it. For the transform, whatever you do affects the entire column. I'll show you the difference between transform and add column in a bit. So there is standard, there is scientific, and all that you could do. So add, multiply, standard, square root, logarithm based, then natural log. Let's look at the date here. It's one important thing that you need to know. So in the date, for instance, if you want the year, you just go to year and select year. If you want month, you go to month and select month. But look at what happens if I select month. It's showing month, 1 month. So it changes my entire date to a certain month. Let me try another one and let you see. So date, maybe year. Let's look at year. So you see, it converts my date column into a year. So that's what the transform does. It converts that column into a certain the iteration you want to do. But there's add column. For columns from examples, all these things will be treated in a separate video. Conditional columns, custom columns, index columns, duplicate columns. There's format, similar to what we saw. There's extract, similar to what we saw. But let's look at this particular one. So as you see the difference between the add column and the transform. So when I come to year and I select year, look at what happens. A new column, a totally new column is created, whereby I now can actually use that column apart from the date column. So it's very useful. That's the difference between the add column button and the transform. The transform transforms the column. The add column creates a new column and that's the transformation there. So let's look at view. So view to, okay, let me uncheck all these. When you have your Power Query, that's what you see. It's raw like that. When I check the formula bar, you see I have a formula bar that I can see the formula is the M language being written. Let's look at column distribution. It gives that column distribution. Column profile gives you data on how the column is, the minimum, the max, how many distinct, how many unique, how many count of the rows, the standard deviation. So we get a fair idea of what the data set is about or the column is about. Column quality shows you whether there are errors, they are valid, So always, I would advise that you check the column distribution, the column quality, and the formula bar. Go to column, like I showed you, you can go to a particular column or just use the scroll or the scroll bar down there. Advanced editor will show you the M language itself that is being iterated here. And there's query dependencies. So maybe you have a lot of queries. You want to find out, okay, this query, where does it link to? This query, where does it link to? Because we have very few queries now, you may not understand. But in the future, you would understand that it's very useful when you have like 8, 15 queries. You can change the layout to left to right to see clearly what it is. So that's about it for the query editor. These tools, you will look at it later. And there's help. You can look for the training videos, you can submit an idea, and a whole lot. But one other thing you can also do is that you can right click, and most of the things we saw there, you can do them here. So this is transformation. So this was just on the financials. You can look at my first table. This was created in the last video. So that is all that you need to know about the transformation. For now, we would apply them in a lot of other videos that we'll be doing, especially in most of the stories that I've told so far. When you're done, you just hit close and apply, and it will load into the BI itself. You see applying query changes. So all the changes that we've done will be applied in here, and we're done. So thank you for joining my channel and watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. The name is Ebenezer Safuadu. I'm a business strategy consultant and a data specialist. See you next time.